Right, today I am going to start a video, it's probably going to take me a few days, how I make beef Wellington. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I had a bargain of the century this morning. We popped into the butcher's just to pick a couple of bits and pieces up, and I came away with a whole fillet of beef, which cost me 50 quid. And what I've done, I've cut it all up into its parts. I've got rid of all the sinew and the fat into one there. And then I've cut all the steaks into, and I've numbered them up as well. I know it's a little bit, you know, but I think in a video before I said I put stuff in the freezer and I could never remember what part is what. So I've labelled it all fillet, and you've got fillet A+, which are the best bits, and it goes A and B. So that's a few scraggy bits. But the main bit I got was right out of the centre, was this piece here, which is just over a kilo of the centre cut of the fillet. Now that alone from a butcher on the island in Minster would probably cost you about £49. If he's doing it on special, maybe a little bit cheaper. But I got the whole fillet today for £50 because I also bought some chicken, I bought some sausages, and the more I bought, the less the price went down. So I've cut all this up. And one thing you do need when you're doing sort of filleting like this like a butcher, you need a good knife. Well, not even a good knife, you need a sharp knife. And I'll quickly show you this knife here. I got on Amazon. It cost me £19.99. It's made by the company who make the Swiss Army knife. Is it Victronics or Victrionics? It's got a really nice handle, and you don't need those fancy sharpeners. All you need to do is go to Axminster's or any place that sells tools and buy one of these diamond stones. It's got 4 settings on it, so it's got smooth, rough. So what I do when I'm sharpening a knife, I put my hand behind it and just run it across like that, and you can hear it cutting through the metal, and then just go back the other way, keeping your hand out the way. And then that last little polish, that's the one. And then just take the burr off. I just take it on the wooden top like that, and that's razor sharp now. So we have this piece of beef. Now the first thing we need to do is to fry it off in a nice hot pan with just a little bit of oil. You don't want any salt or pepper on this, because in my opinion, and I've done it both ways, if you put salt and pepper on now, all you'll do is you'll burn it. You'll char the pepper, you'll char the salt. So you just go straight in with this and you get it nicely caramelised all the way around. Now, come over here. I've got some triple cooked chips I was doing earlier. So I've still got some oil from this that I did those with. So we just put a little bit of oil into a hot pan. Yeah, that's hot. And then we're going to go into the beef. Now, it is going to smoke. So have the door open. And I'm going to roll this around for about 30 seconds and just keep rolling it around in the oil. And then when I've finished that, I'll show you what I do with it afterwards. Right, this has been in the pan now for about 10 minutes on like a nice hot gas. As you can see, it's all nicely seared right the way around. So what I do is I've made a mixture of English mustard, don't use anything other than English, loads of salt and loads of pepper. And I'll put it onto a board, like so. And then what you can do, you can roll that around, and all that mustard, and all that salt and pepper, so it gets all nicely coated. And this won't be hot when you've finished cooking it, because what I'll show you, a little trick that I do, which I've never seen anyone else do. I'm sure other people have done. So that's all nicely rolled around in that. Just move that out of the way. And then what we want to do is take some cling film, like so. And we take the piece of beef, lay it in there. It's still quite hot. We don't want to lose all this. This is all gold. This is. Just smear that all over. Mmm, oh, it smells nice. And on the end, a little bit more. That's it. And then we want to wrap this in cling film. We start off, uses quite a lot of cling film. We want it nice and tight. So, that's one. tuck that under. And I'll normally go around again. So what we want to try and do is form it into a nice little shape. Like that, and then we just go around once more. Oh no, look, the cling film's gone all cocked. That's it. There we go, it's perfect. Just spin it around like that, get it nice and tight. And then you have your beef Wellington. Now I'm going to put that, you can put it in the fridge, but I'm going to put that in the freezer, because I don't know when we're going to be using it. Depends what comes available in the shops. So I need some Parma ham and some other bits and pieces. I'll probably end up making my own pastry because we haven't got puff. So that can go in the freezer now, and that can sit there for, well, it can sit there for weeks and weeks if you want to. And what you do is probably, if you're cooking it in the evening, take it out first thing in the morning, just put it on the side a few hours and in the fridge, and that will come back to life, and that will be nicely chilled, and that's going to be perfect, that is. So we'll put that in the freezer, and we'll see what happens on the next time round. With the beef Wellington, we need to make like a mushroom pate. They call it duxelles mushrooms in French, but we just call it mushroom pate. I've just been over and bought these from Co-op, about 95p a punnet, and we can stick everything in there. So just break them up a little bit first. You can chop them by hand if you haven't got one of these. But there seems like a lot of mushrooms, but as most things in the vegetable world, when you cook them down, all the water comes out. And when all the water comes out, you get not a lot left. So if you used to use one punnet of these, it wouldn't be enough for what we need. So you need 2 punnets or trays of those. So they can just be squished into there. And what I've also got, what goes amazingly well with this, is thyme, fresh thyme. Lisa planted some in the garden about 3-4 weeks ago. And I've just noticed this morning, it's come up. It doesn't come up like a plant, it comes up in almost like a privet hedge bush, just a whole sea of thyme. I've just picked some off, and I've picked just a little tiny bit of sage as well, not a lot. But these just need to go in here with the thyme, the sage. It goes on. We need to puree those, get them as fine as possible. So it's a pate for a round. So we'll zuzz this up, and then I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so we've zuzzed those down, so like a nice pate. And we don't want a lot of oil, just to stop it from sticking to the bottom. So just a splash of olive oil in there. That pan should be just getting to temperature now, as you can see. And we want to put this pate into there, and you need to cook it off. And it will keep sizzling and sizzling and sizzling, like a steak, like anything you put into a pan. And that's not it cooking as such, that is all the water being evaporated off by the heat, the steam escaping from the food. So once that stops, that sizzling noise, that's when you know that you've got your pate just about right. So let's just move that around a little bit. Whoops, oh God, there's more cleaning for Lisa. So if you come in there, you can see, you can hear that all starting to sizzle, and all that water will come up, and that will go dark, and it will go quite dry, is what we want. So we'll just keep that on the stove for about 10 minutes, keep it stirring every now and again, and then we'll come back to that. Right, what we've got here, for about 5 minutes now we've been frying these off. I've had a little bit of salt and pepper and a clove of garlic, but you can still hear, and you can still see the steam come off the top of those. So we'll just keep those stirring around for another 2 or 3 minutes, and then hopefully that sizzling will have stopped, at least the sizzling of the water escaping, and it will just start to cook it out a little tiny bit. Like I say, the seasoning is just there to taste it, and a bit of garlic. Right, if you come in here, you can see that stopped sizzling now. Very little tiny amount of sizzle left. There's a little bit, I don't want to completely cook all that moisture out, but as you can see, that's like a nice pate consistency now, which will go really nicely around the beef. So we need to turn the gas off. Just transfer that into a little bowl. Well, it smells delicious, and that can just sit there for a good hour to cool down before you put it into the fridge, ready to use. And then we'll show you what we do with this later on. Beef Wellington. Now I started this I know it'll be a continuation of the video. I think I started this about 3 weeks ago. The beef Wellington is, I'll get that out actually. I took it out of the freezer last night and it's still kind of quite cold. That was that beef Wellington that I made 3 weeks ago and we've now caught up. What I've done, I've got some cling film. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on there, not too much. Get that out of the way. Just move that around on the cling film because we don't want the ham to stick to it when we unravel it again at the other end. So I've got this prosciutto ham. I normally try and get something better quality than this, but this is all they had. We've been shopping at Co-op exclusively. But what one needs to do is lay these down like so, and they've got a fairly little bit of paper. It takes a little bit of time, this, but it's worth it. I need to lay those out like that and out like that to cover the whole thing. So give us 5 minutes and I'll come back and I'll show you what that looks like. Prosciutto has all been laid. Hello. Somebody's walked within a mile of our house. Prosciutto is all laid out on the grease. We've got this, which is the mushrooms, and we're going to put that all over. Can you hear him at the top of the garden? He thinks he owns the world. And what we do, we smear all of this lovely mixture nice and evenly and thinly all over. So here we have that lovely piece of beef that I've just unwrapped from all that cling film. Make sure you don't get any cling film, I've got a bit stuck in my thumb, into the dinner. Now all that lovely moutarde we had on there, we just drip all that over the top. We don't want to lose any of that flavour. Get rid of all of that, look at that. Lovely. Just give my hands a quick wash. Now we need to wrap said Wellington. So we take that over the top like that, and then we just start to roll that back as we go, like so. Just pull that there this way a little tiny bit, and that can have a little bit more of that going that way. And we go over like this. Once you get it to there, then you can start wrapping the cling film over the top. Otherwise, if you were to wrap it over, you'd have the cling film going underneath, and when you carve it, you'll have cling film left in there. It wouldn't be very nice. Wouldn't be very nice at all. Now, this needs to be well wrapped, and I mean well wrapped. So go and buy shares in cling film. So that's that way. Just cut that off there. Just tuck those in at the end. Then what I want to do is go the other way with that. Just move it out of the way. Oh no, the cling film's gone all... Oh, you know when it just goes mental? Let's just throw that down. I thought I bought a foolproof one, but I haven't. There we go. I just want to do it end to end so we don't get any leaking out that way. So, voila. So it's nice and tight. And what that will do with the cling film, where's it gone? There it is. With the cling film, wrapping that up, it will keep it in a nice shape, ready for when you put the pastry. If you don't wrap it up tightly, then it will go into a funny shape. So you really want to tightly wrap that up, and that wants to go in the fridge overnight so it all firms up. So we'll put that in the fridge, and we're cooking this tomorrow. Now I'm making the pastry at the moment, and that's going to go into the fridge as well. So there you go. So we pop that into the fridge in that tube there for overnight. Try and do it overnight. Don't use it now, because what will happen, all of this will not, all the liquid inside won't set up, and it'll just make the pastry go all soggy and horrible. So the day has come to wrap this beef Wellington into this pastry. That's had its 4 turns, and then the 5th one is the one that you roll out. So, just get rid of any of the flour from on there. This is the beef Wellington, which has been in the fridge, chilling down with the ham around it. So now we can take all of this off. Just kept it into a nice little roll, like so. The pastry wants to be about, what's that, 3 millimetres, I suppose. You don't want it too thick, but you don't want it too thin either, because it's got to protect this meat from cooking. And please, please, please make sure you get rid of all of this off here, because I have seen videos and heard stories about people who wrap this up and forget to take all of the cling film off. It doesn't make for a very nice eating experience. There we go, so that's all that taken off. So that can go into the middle. Oh, that smells delish. So we can go over. Don't wrap it too tightly either, just let the pastry fall of its own accord. And then we just need to seal the edges down, so we just get some egg wash just across the R, like so. And then that bit can come up onto the top. This is going to be the bottom part of it. Like so, we'll just seal that in there as well. Now, I have seen some videos where, obviously, if you've got a Christmas decorations, Christmas wrapping, then anyone who can tell me how to do this properly, you make like a V there and you can fold it all in, but I'm not going to do that, because I'm a crap at wrapping presents. So we'll just go over the top, like so. Lovely job. A little bit more egg wash just there so it sticks. Like I said, this will be the bottom of it, and it won't leak out, because it's going to go in the fridge to set up again. So I've got a tray here, a little bit of olive oil on it, just some flour, and that should make it doubly non-stick. So there we go, that's sitting there. Now we're going to egg wash this all over, and then I saw a little trick, I think it was Gordon Ramsay. This. I used to just leave it like this, but you can do little pretty patterns, and then when it cooks, I'm going to show you that in a second, they open up and you end up lovely little white lines all over it. Let's get all that in there. And then if you get just an ordinary knife like that, you can just do little nice swirls around. I suppose every cook has their own little ways of doing it. There we go, and then one just down the middle. Egg wash it first and then do that, because when it cooks it'll puff up and you end up with lovely little white trammel lines. Don't do it afterwards. So that can go in the fridge now until you're ready to cook it. We're having it, what is it now? 2 o'clock. We'll probably have this about 4 or 5 hours time. So just a little bit of sea salt on the top for a little bit of decoration. Yeah, and that can just leave it in there like that. You don't need to cover it. And well, you could leave it overnight if you wanted to. So we will come back and see what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. Okay, so it's beef Wellington time out of the oven. I will say on a side note, I'm just watching Boris Johnson defend Dominic Cummings. You shouldn't really mix politics and cooking, but on this occasion, I think it's scandalous, isn't it? Isn't it scandalous? Anyway, so here we are, out of the oven. It's been resting for about 5 or 10 minutes. Actually 10 minutes. That goes on there. Just get rid of this. So we're going to cut into this beef. Now that's the middle. So we want to slice there, but we want to go to about there so we can get a slice coming back. So I've got a lovely sharp knife. I'm going to go, oh God. The smell coming off this is amazing. So let's go in with a slice. Just push it. All that juice is running out. There we go. One through there. And one through there. 2 lovely slices of beef Wellington. Sacre bleu. Un. Deux. Look at that. Oh, people. Oh, well pleased with that.
What do you think, Boris?
He probably likes that. And with that, we are going to have some lovely sautéed cabbage that's been on the side for about 15 minutes. Sorry, the false teeth have come adrift. So we've got some lovely sautéed cabbage on the side. We're not having, I would have mashed potato with this, but no, I got talked out of it. So like that. I'm just going to be back in a minute. One is going to pour. I've made a little tiny, I mean in England we'll call it a gravy, but because it's kind of like beef Wellington is English, yeah, we're going to call it gravy. We're going to call this gravy. Okay, so I'm just going to clean these plates up a little tiny bit, like so. And then we're going to pour some jus, or gravy, just through the side, like that. Lovely jubbly. So if you want to come in close on that, please, darling. And there we have one beef Wellington for my darling Lisa for her birthday.
Birthday dinner.
And yeah, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, Robbie, for cooking.
See you later. Bye.